heartbeat of digital transformation, where innovation meets relevance and technology works hand in hand with the future of Nigeria. Today, we journey through time and technology from the humble garages of Palo Alto to the sprawling campuses of tech giants like Google, Apple, and Meta. Silicon Valley didn't just birth companies, it sparked a global digital renaissance, transforming dusty dreams into billion-dollar empires. But here is the big question. How is this revolution shaping Nigeria's destiny in this digital age? What lessons can our youth, innovators, and institutions glean from the rise of Silicon Valley? And how does artificial intelligence, once a sci-fi fantasy, now influence our economy, education, and even governance? And guiding us through this compelling exploration is none other than Dr. Nasiru Ikharo and Dr. Charles E. Orbih, a name that resonates across the spheres of global travel, technology, and transformative education. With roots in pioneering Africa's early digital communication with the US in the 1990s, Dr. Orbih has consistently been ahead of the curve. As the founder of Jacko Travels and co-founder of Cyber Training and Consulting Services, his expertise fuses entrepreneurship with technological innovation. His credentials, from a PhD in entrepreneurship to professional recognition from Stanford and Cisco, makes him a rare blend of tech visionary and community advocate. From Silicon Valley to Surulere, from Palo Alto to Port Harcourt, this conversation promises to bridge words, ignite ideas, and stir minds. So stay tuned. Talking ICT just got a lot more interesting. No ICT, no life. And now, allow me to introduce Dr. Nasiru Ikharo as our dear host today, and with Dr. Charles Orbih on today's segment of Talking ICT. They've got a lot more to talk on today's episode of Talking ICT. So, good day, Dr. Nasiru, and welcome to Talking ICT on Qalam Radio.
Yeah, thank you, Gift, for that wonderful intro of my very good friend and a brother in the industry, Dr. Charles Orbih. Charles Orbih, you're online?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Prince Nasiru. Yes, I am.
It's been quite a while. We've come way back then, right?
Yeah, we thought, as I heard that beautiful voice reading that bio, I said, okay, we're dating ourselves here now. Yes, it's been a minute.
Yeah. I saw your paper presentation at the 10-year anniversary celebration and 20th EBS colloquium graduation, which was an induction and achievers award ceremony. Silicon Valley legacy title, garage startups, and the rise of global tech giants and entrepreneurs in the age of artificial intelligence. And that kind of took my mind way back then. I know you were right there at the heart of the Silicon Valley activities and the startups. I was on the application side at Wells Fargo Bank North America, but you were on the development side, bringing out innovations and working with the entrepreneurs that were really doing a lot of startups then, like the Hewlett Packard that you mentioned in this article, and several other companies. Walk us through this paper, because it's something that a third world country or a developing country like Nigeria needs to borrow a leaf from. We really don't have to go back to reinvent the wheel. We can pretty much leapfrog. Especially now we're in the AI generation, we can leapfrog. So walk us through that historical perspective, having been somebody who was right there in the formative stages of these innovations in the IT space. Go ahead.
Well, thank you so much, Nasiru. Thank you very much. Like you, as you said, we were out there. You were there. I was there, and those were exciting times, and they still are very exciting. I have moved out of the original Silicon Valley to now the Silicon Valley of the South. In other words, which is essentially Research Triangle Park. The Raleigh-Durham area of North Carolina, to be exact, is popularly referred to as the Silicon Valley of the South, because a lot of the originals in the Bay Area being San Jose, Sunnyvale, Santa Clara, Fremont, Menlo Park, all those places, Palo Alto, a lot of those companies have their branches or extended offices out here in the Research Triangle Park area. I forgot to mention the big daddy of them all, IBM. Who as everybody knows, even though it's people don't call IBM out much lately, but you know that probably almost 50% or more of the technology patent out there belongs to IBM. Because they were the original innovators. Anything that you talk about today that has to do with even cloud computing, IBM started all of that through what they refer to as from a system network architecture perspective.
Yes.
So before I go too deep into the weed here. Yes, in the early days of Silicon Valley, you know, like most people know these days because you read about them on social media and whatnot. Everything starts with having a vision. It starts with having a vision, and then you have some commitment to that vision. And without commitment to that vision, you can't go too far. Then, of course, the biggest thing is access to capital.
Yes.
And this is where you find people now say, well, they are going to become venture capitalists because they see your vision, they know you are committed to your vision, and then they say, okay, we're going to support you, fund it, finance it.
Yes.
And before you know it, what started as a friendly conversation between two people, like in the case of most of those tech giants, the ones we know today, Apple, Cisco, husband and wife, of course, HP, Hewlett Packard. There are many more that some of them are in that article. I'm sure as we have our conversation, we will refer to some of them again.
Yes.
But all these started from friendly conversations, like, you know, hey, maybe let's do something like this. And some of them actually, it was, just a napkin. They're having a conversation on the kitchen table where they just had dinner or had coffee. That's how some of them started. And before you know it, they moved from the kitchen table to the garage at the house. Why did they do that? Because they did not have the capital to go rent an office. You see, they started from where they are or where they were. In other words, a famous person said, don't forget the days of small beginnings.
Yes.
It may be a very small idea. That's how a lot of these big conglomerates came about. Even the Wells Fargo that you talked about.
Yes.
Become a
financial giant
in the world today. And so, in a place like Nigeria, what usually happens is we have all these ideas, and you share your ideas with your friends or with your family.
Yes.
Sometimes they may not see what you are talking about, but they can remember somebody who tried it and failed. And they remind you of how it cannot work.
Yes.
But they forget that the Apple of today started with a few good people. their names, we can tell their stories like I have done, right?
Yes.
Smart guys. Yes, they were very smart, but they were friends. They were committed to an idea. Steve Jobs.
Yes.
A lot of people may not know him today, but they know Apple.
Yes.
They will not remember that Steve Jobs, at some point in his life, he left Apple
Yes.
and started to make movies.
Yes.
And then before he came back to Apple. So Apple, as you know, I'm sure you probably did this story too in during one of your programs.
Yes.
Back then, Apple became a very good case study.
Yes.
For anybody doing business or doing MBA, if you have not done a story about Apple or a case study about Apple, then
Yes.
you really have not.
You have not gone through
you
the
don't know what
industry.
it means to start, fail, and start again.
Yes.
But today Apple is there as a big giant. So in our country, which is your question, I think there's a lot of lessons that we can learn as
Yes.
a people.
Yes.
That in the popular cliche saying, say Rome was not built in a day is very true.
Yes.
That applies to business. That applies to anything we do in life. And I hope that as we continue this conversation, we can even be more specific and direct about what can happen in an environment like ours, where there's a lot of talent, there's a lot of skill, but how do we generate the staying power to consistently say, I am going to stay with this idea, with this vision, and see it to its conclusive end. Yes, we know not all startups succeed. Yes, we know that everyone that starts a new business may not survive it.
Yes.
However, if we have the conviction and the staying power, I think there's a lot of lessons that Nigeria can learn from what happened in Silicon Valley and what continues to happen today.
Yeah.
Because even the new generation of technology, AI, is built on the foundations that some of these companies started.
Okay, so that is great, and you walked us through the background, the introduction to this conversation today, and what is possible. We will dive a little bit into the specifics. Apple Incorporated that you mentioned was a garage startup that changed the world, according to your article, and you talked about how they secure $50,000 loan from a local computer store. Okay, they secured an order of $50,000 from a local computer store, and this marked Apple's first breakthrough. So it's not like people are waiting for a big capital before they can start. You start small and grow big, and today they are $3 trillion establishment, right?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
and people should look at that, and then look at Hewlett Packard. It is also another garage that launched, garage startup too.
Yes.
Founded in 1939 by Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard. Like you said, these are people that believed in that vision. They had a vision, and they worked towards actualizing that vision. And today, and if you look at what they were doing, I mean, they started with the PC, personal computers, and the components of personal computers, it's not them that were producing them. Okay, the components were reproduced elsewhere, but they had the architecture, the design, or they had a vision of what they want to put together, and they sent them to the various factories and ordered them, and these parts were brought to them. And today you can actually assemble. Yes, there is Zenith computers, and then and the Omatech of this world in Nigeria, but that really doesn't stop a startup being in Afema land with assembling of computers, right?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you're right. I mean, with those examples you just gave, although if we translate $50,000 back then to present value of money, it's a lot of money. It's going to be in the millions, right?
Right.
Similarly, the $538 that HP started with, well, you see, you called out the full names, Hewlett Packard. Hewlett Packard, the name. A lot of people don't remember that now. All they know is HP because of
Yes.
branding, right?
Yes. Yes.
HP, HP, HP,
Yes.
HP, and they were known mostly for printing instrumentation equipment.
Exactly.
There's hardly any lab, any laboratory you walk into today, you will not see an HP
Printer.
device. Yeah. So most people now see HP PCs, but HP started off as a measuring instrument company and printing machines and those type of devices. Then all of a sudden, in the 80s and 90s, they decided to branch out into personal computers. But yes, to address the funding as part of it, they started with very little money in their pocket. I mean, with very little sponsors, and so they have become a big deal, big corporations today. But you know, we talked earlier about committing to a vision.
Yes.
And so, what happens today? The good news is we have all these venture capitalists. In the context of Nigeria, you have people like Elumelu, Chief Tony Elumelu, right?
Yes.
Those kind of people should be able to fund, companies,
Yes.
young entrepreneurs in Nafema land who are willing
Yes.
and have an idea about what they want to do with their future, their vision. I'm sure maybe the Ikharo family can fund a startup company.
Yes.
Why? Because they buy into the vision
Yeah.
of that small company, and they can see the future. Before what you call them these days, all these offices, small business centers, before they became popular,
Yes.
Somebody could have easily seen that as an opportunity to establish franchises all across the country.
Yes.
It can start. It could start, or it can start as a small mom and pop shop in somewhere in the corner of Auchi.
Yes.
And as the founder, as long as they stay with that idea, because Auchi has I want to say ready-made in quotes, ready-made supply of resources.
Yes.
Particularly the Yaba School of Tech, Yaba Tech, not Yaba,
Auchi Polytechnic. Yes.
Auchi Polytechnic has been there for years now, and thankfully they are converting it now to School of
University of Technology,
right?
Yes.
It's overdue. It's overdue for something like that. So you have resources from there that can supply whatever that type of business idea needs. And so Afema Line, not limited to Afema, all across the country, I think there's a lot of potential. I mentioned earlier, we have a lot of talents. I'm amazed at some of the graphics I see sometimes that come out of Nigeria.
Yeah.
I say, man, these people are very creative. They
Yeah.
have a lot of ideas. So what needs to happen is somebody to start taking this thing seriously and see how you can collect all the different ideas that people have on the table and see how you can help them expand their vision.
Good.
So I think that's something we can do.
Yeah. So and also you have this university at Iyamo that has also now come on board, and it's also a resource pool for talents, to draw from as you try to do the startup incubation center here. And then, like you rightly said, the list really goes on. You see Microsoft, how they started, and then Sun Microsystems, you said they started from the dorm room, in the school. And then you have a Cisco Systems, a husband and wife revolution in networking. And then, of course, Intel, that is powering the digital age. There's virtually no computing systems you don't have Intel inside, and that is what they tell you, Intel is inside.
Exactly.
Even though advanced micro device came on board, but it's still not measuring up, with Intel, So
Yes.
and then now we are in the era of AI, artificial intelligence,
Yeah. Yes.
and how that is driving not just the present but the future.
Yes.
So that role of digital transformation, you were talking about how that brings about a revolution in entrepreneurial opportunities in Nigeria. Tell us more about that, so that before we can really, because we need to really talk about how these environment, these opportunities that are in this tech space, how we can bring it to fruition here in Afema land. Very, very critical. So
Yes.
tell us
Yes.
about these revolutionary entrepreneurial
Yes.
opportunities in Nigeria. Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Yes. The husband wife team that you just mentioned, the guys that started Cisco. Obviously, you notice their logos, a bridge.
Yes.
It's which is essentially short form of San Francisco, which is the Golden Gate Bridge for those who have an idea what San Francisco looks like. So the bridge, the symbol that Cisco uses as its logo, it's essentially a bridge across. Whether you look at it as bridges across networks or you look at it as a routing and switching device, which is essentially what Cisco was known for.
Yes.
That husband and wife team found that logo as a symbol of their company, a bridge, San Francisco Bridge, but see the name Cisco, and they use that bridge as a form of communicating to people what their vision. Their vision is all about. Now, what was the nature of your question again, Nasiru?
Yeah. So how does these innovations, this entrepreneurship that gave birth to
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we always say that in technology, a new invention doesn't happen very often. What happens is an evolution.
Okay.
Right? Evolution takes place. So you see the newest one beats on the last one.
Okay.
And when you look at what the story looks like, it's like, oh, there's really nothing new here. And indeed, it's true. There's nothing new under the sun. So, but in technology, if you look at the artificial intelligence as it stands today, robots have been around for a while.
Yes.
Robots have been around for a while, except that they were used in manufacturing environments.
Yes.
Now, that has been expanded to what is now called artificial intelligence. And so somebody will talk about artificial intelligence, or they will talk about Industrial Revolution 4.0, Industrial Revolution 4.0, and artificial intelligence essentially says automation. But anybody in the tech world knows that automation has been around for quite some time.
Yes.
What makes digital transformation somewhat different from industrial revolution or industrial technology or IoT,
yes,
Internet of Things.
Yes.
These are the things that make Industrial Revolution 4.0 TICK. And that is, not only is that things are now being automated, but we all know that no matter how much automation you do, you cannot remove the human interface.
Yes.
Somebody like Nasiru or myself or the person behind the mic, they still have to do some human manipulation to make sure that the solution that you are providing meets the demands of your audience.
Yes.
So what does AI do for us? Well, IBM, the granddaddy we said of technology, back in the day, you really cannot do anything without IBM code, COD, without IBM code. So they were responsible for the big mainframes that were driving all the computer intelligence all over the world. They have the big mainframe computers. People like Sun Microsystems, they have powerful computers at each I will call it the server environment, otherwise known as the data center. Today, you notice when I'm using terms interchangeably, I'm saying a server, then I'll say it's a data center, and then somebody else will call it the cloud computing. We're using different terms to define exactly the same thing.
Yes.
So it's all evolution. It's all evolution. So IBM did it the old-fashioned way with the big mainframe, and their son said we can do it better, and we're going to use smaller servers. Instead of big giant mainframes, they are going to be smaller servers, but they are going to be as fast, more, or even if not faster, than the big mainframes. Although that has not proven to be the case, because the mainframe is still there, it still survives. If you go to a lot of the Nasiru, you can testify to this. I hope that even while you worked at West Fargo, you guys probably have big mainframe computers.
We did.
To take care of your data crunching.
We did.
So IBM has never gone away. You may not see its name, but you may not see its name in most of the newsletters. But everybody knows that behind artificial intelligence you have things like AI Watson.
Yes.
And where did that come from?
IBM.
Lab. So they are the ones that they have a lot of their footprints in a lot of the things we have out here today. Yes, some of the smaller, some of the newer players like the Googles and the Facebook and Amazon may have overtaken the. Let me use a slow moving big blue machine. Big blue is essentially IBM. Big blue machine. But when it comes to putting all these things in context, all the technology, evolution, and innovation in context, you can't do it without an IBM.
Yes.
So AI is here, but AI has always been here. It's just that now it's in the main frame. It's in the main. It's not in the highway. It's not in everybody's space, because you see it on Facebook. You see it in the form of Gemini by Google. You see it in the form of what is the Microsoft version of AI. Okay, I'll come back to that. But it comes in. You have Meta's version of AI. You have even WhatsApp has a version of AI.
Yes.
You have some people have it as ChatGPT.
Yes.
So all these things are some people. All these have always been there, but now they are not at the forefront of. I mean, some of them are new, of course, the way they are being used on college campuses and the way you ask them to do tasks for you. But the reality is AI is another way of automating processes that we were thinking somebody has to sit down and write a bunch of codes. And today you don't necessarily have to do that. And so in the context of how does an entrepreneur in Afema land leverage AI, for example, it's like if you're an entrepreneur, say at the low level, say a businessman, right?
Yes.
That doesn't have the money to hire a lot of people to do their work.
Yes.
They can use AI to do some of that work that they will hire a lot of people to do. That's why you see people are nervous about people losing jobs, because AI is going to take over the world. AI is going to take over people's jobs. But that's not necessarily true. It's a case of repositioning what people do and how they do what they do.
Yes.
I think that is where AI is going to be very important. Of course, there are areas where people may actually lose jobs, but AI provides an opportunity for people to learn a new skill.
Exactly.
And use that new skill to do things.
Exactly. So, I mean, of course, on this very particular channel, we did mention, or we did present the AI impact on job creation and job displacements. And what was revealed was that AI will actually generate more jobs than displace jobs. So they did the statistics and a survey of that and found out that AI was even going to generate more than 20 million jobs, more than that of the ones that will be displaced. So if you evil that, I would find out that it's AI is still on the positive side in terms of job creation. That's what came out of that survey. Uh, so pretty much the opportunities are here with us. You just mentioned about being startup. This radio station that we are talking now, that is right here at the heart of Afema land in Auchi, Sacred Kingdom. This radio station was an idea that was tabled with a member of the family. Okay, and then they said, oh, why not? Let's start it. And today we are on, and we'll continue to work on it until it becomes a global brand. And we started with the digital component, digital broadcasting. We are still going to bring in the terrestrial, even though that is going to be outdated within a short while, because everybody is going digital. Everybody have their handsets along with them. If you're on a terrestrial radio, by the time you get to Okwela, or by the time you get to Afuze, or by the time you get to Agenibude, you start losing signals. Whereas with this, your phone is with you. As you are going, this broadcast is going with you. You can take this broadcast as long as you have internet connection. It will take you to Abuja, it will take you to Lagos, take you on your plane, and get you to overseas. You are in overseas now, calling from all the way from North Carolina. Is it North Carolina? Where is that from?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you are calling from there, and it's a global. So, but for those who are still analog in nature, we tend to still set up the what they call it, the terrestrial radio for them to see. So it's just for people to see, take this idea, dream about it, have a vision of it, but don't just have a vision of it and keep it in the closet. Act on it. Start small, grow big. And what we are trying to do now, because I'm also the president of Auchi Development Foundation, what we are trying to do right now is to set up a tech hub. We're working with the Polytechnic, Auchi Polytechnic, and working with the state government. And also we want to bring in a tech hub in Auchi where it will be an incubation center. There will be those who are in the development side and those who are in the application side, and hopefully we'll be able to break through the market and then have these young chaps around that in our communities, take them away from the press syndrome, which they are doing right now, and bring them to mainstream computing where they can add value. So that project is on, and we are still working on the fundamentals. There is a business, what they call business case we're trying to establish on document, for which we can now bring in business incubators and investors to want to invest in this particular project. So yeah, and like you said in your article, uh, the things don't become transformational on their own. It is a commitment. It is a commitment.
Indeed.
You have to have a vision and commit to it. And then there is a hand to hold. I mean, you are there. You have so much experience. I'm here. I've gone through my own experience, and we need to come back home and hold hands. Let's hold these youth's hands, and then see if we can replicate what happened in Silicon Valley here in Afema land, where the rest of the country can learn from, or benefit from the output that we have in this very particular center. So what are your suggestions? You've highlighted the what you call the transition, and you've also mentioned what the transformation, technological transformation or digital transformation is all about. You've talked about the opportunities that it holds for Nigeria. So how do we get started here in African land? Because we have said we have the two universities. We have the one at Yamo. We have the Auchi Polytechnic. For those who are listening to us across the globe, and wanting to like dream a dream and have a vision and get started, what what do you have for them? What are your thoughts for them, and how can and I can get involved? On off the air, I'm going to have to sit with you one on one for us to see how we can move some of all these ideas, because this some people, when you posted this, some people were looking at it, they might probably just read through it and say, oh, this is fantastic, but being an IT person, having an IT background, there is a light bulb that is already in my head about what is possible. So maybe I'll talk offline when we finish this presentation. So what are your thoughts about how anybody that's thinking to get started in this IT space and have an idea that they can establish something here? What's your advice to them?
Yes. Well, thank you for that fantastic question, Nasiru. I believe it was, if not in the paper, no, it was not in the paper. I think it was probably in the bio. I mentioned how some of us, myself and a few friends, just trying to do like the Apples of the world and the HPs and Cisco's and Sun Microsystems of the world. We started a company, an NGO called African Education and Research Foundation. Uh, we had all these great ideas about what to do and how to do and when to do. As a matter of fact, our claim to fame, having newsletter, when you and I, when we have that one-on-one chat, I look forward to it because I have some things I need to talk about with you as well. We wanted to become before data centers became popular. This is exactly what we wanted to do. We wanted to be the data center for the African hub for anything information, any research anybody wanted to do, whether it's about human beings, whether it's about technology, whether it's about just anything. This was at the same time as Amazon. That was when we had this great idea because we were fortunate and blessed to be in the tech space, and so we thought we could do things that matter, but we did not know how to market our idea. But what did they say? Hindsight is always 2020, right?
Yes.
And when we look back now, if we had somebody to sponsor us and fund us, we could have easily become an Amazon, and somebody out there would chuckle. How is that possible? Well, Amazon, you and I know, Amazon started off as a warehouse.
Yes.
Right? Look at where it is today.
Yeah.
It's not only warehousing, it's still at the core of its business, it's still warehousing, right?
Yeah.
But for most of the young people, they see Amazon as AWS.
Yes.
Amazon Web Services,
Yes.
because they now came into, an idea gave an idea to an idea.
Yes.
In other words, their warehouse business said, okay, we have to figure out how do we manage our supply chain.
Yes.
And in order to manage our supply chain, it means we're going to be dealing with a lot of data.
Yes.
And if we don't want to trust our data to a Cisco because they're going to charge us, we don't want. No, I'm not talking to you, Siri. What happened as a result is they came up with cloud computing.
Yes.
Can you imagine a data warehouse company is not doing networking?
Cloud computing.
It's doing cloud computing, and everybody just falling in. Amazon conquering the world, and it's also doing shipping and handling and marketplace online. You see what Amazon has become. So what I'm saying is, if we had somebody to help us out, we had a great idea, but we did not get the funding that we needed. And so the very first electronic mail that left the US to Nigeria came out of our research. And actually, it was done in my apartment in Sunnyvale.
Wow.
So, yes, we worked in collaboration with Yaba Technology. So, again, we just did not have the funding to do what needed to be done, and maybe the marketing. We were good engineers. We were good engineers, but doing a business is more than the engineering. Somebody has to do the marketing. So that is what I would suggest to somebody who's thinking, wow, I have this great idea now. We're in the internet age. We're in the AI age. How do I? You need somebody that can do the marketing. You need somebody that can assist to present the ideas. You need somebody that has a deep pocket. All of these work together.
Okay.
Now you just said QLM was it's something that it's almost like a family idea that is now going global.
Yes.
That is how some of this start. Somebody soon, maybe you guys start to do some advertisement and start to, instead of being a free service, and now Gmail started off like that, right?
Yes.
It was a free email service.
Yes.
And all of a sudden now you have to even though it's still for the most part still very free, you still have to comply by setting rules.
Yes.
You have to buy more disk space, storage space.
Yes.
And now advertisers are beginning to sponsor articles. So you want to read your Gmail, you get all kinds of junk that you did not sign up for. Before you know it, you're buying something, right? And so for that young person who's listening, I say, how can I bid on this kind of things? You have to know, again, we talked about Rome not being built in a day.
Yes.
It may start with just an idea.
Yes.
It may start with just an idea. But don't neglect it if it's something that you are passionate about, that is coming from the inside, and I think there's something somewhere. They say write the vision down. You got to write it down.
Right.
Then when you visit it, and say, okay, this is exactly. You can expand on it.
Yes.
Then you can start to sell it to people.
Yes.
And then somebody might tell you, well, you can be the best engineer and build a particular product that is very nice and got all the bells and whistles, but nobody's buying it. That's because you did not understand what the customer needs.
Yes.
You see, in fact, you alluded to an example of such. You said Intel, the chip inside. Intel is a chip inside, but Advanced Micro Devices took advantage of an opportunity that Intel did not take into account.
Yes.
Because when Intel was going global, Intel did not think about the small mom and pop shops.
Yes.
And AMD came and saw that. It's like, hey, we are in it too.
Yes.
Up to today, Intel has not been able to shake off AMD.
Yeah, it did.
It may not be as big as Intel.
Yes, but it's still there, hanging in.
AMD is there.
Yeah, it's hanging in there.
And so, I'm sorry?
Yeah, I say it's hanging in there.
Yes.
AMD is hanging in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So there is I think there's a lot of opportunities for anybody. The market is big enough. The Nigerian market is big.
Yes.
I mean, the population is there.
Yes.
And, as everybody tries to remind us, it's the youth of Nigeria is a very big group of people that you cannot discount.
Yes.
They may not have all the billions and billions of naira today to buy stuff, but they have great ideas. And I think that's the beauty of export and import, or import and export.
Yes.
So they don't only have to bid for the Nigerian market, but they can also bid for the African market.
Yes.
African market is big as well. I think what are we, over 1 billion people?
Yeah, we are African.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of people.
Yes, it's a lot of human beings. And so you can, from there you can start to obviously we have Chinese everywhere now, so you can also sell to the market. So what I would suggest to that person is not to give up. I think in the case that I mentioned, the example that I mentioned, the AERF, even though what happened to us was life happened essentially.
Yes.
And so as young people trying to survive sometimes you just say, hey, let me go and take care of family. Let me go take care of some other needs.
Yes.
But the reality is that idea, every time I have an opportunity to talk about Silicon Valley, I always remember
Yes.
how we did now, how that happened. We had a great opportunity, but of course, we learn lessons from that opportunity. Yeah, so have we stopped? No. During the intro, we talked about the fact that we do travel and tourism,
Yes.
and also and tech. But tech being at the foundation of by what we have become by God's grace, we can share with people, share with young people, and hopefully they will learn a lesson or two, and hopefully that will motivate them to continue their race as well.
Thank you so very much for coming on at a very short notice on this very particular program. We appreciate you, Charles. And like I said, this is just the beginning. We'll continue to call on you to come and share more lights on maybe from this our conversation, we're able to light a bulb in somebody's head that will make him a champion somewhere. So
wonderful.
Yeah, until we'll call you again next time to our studio. Thank you so much for the time, and we say we wish you and your companies and your business a very successful outing each time. So we will talk offline. Like I said, I'll call you back offline, and then we can continue the conversation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. My pleasure.
All right. So for our global listeners, that is all we can take here on Qalam Radio on this very particular topic, Talking ICT. Until we come back again next time. Bye-bye.